You probably didn't realize this, but politics does not begin with policy. It begins with morality. And with the rise of political violence, we need to talk about both objective and subjective morality. Before we argue about borders, budgets, or ballots, we make a quieter decision whether morality is discovered or invented. Every person in the country struggles with these two positions, and if you're a nihilist, well, seek help. Objective morality says that all individuals, men and women, are created equal, that human life has inherent value, that some things are right or wrong, regardless of who holds power, regardless of public opinion, regardless of inconvenient truths. Not because the state grants it, not because a majority voted for it, but simply because it exists. This underpins the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Under objective morality, politics is restrained, and thus your government is restrained. There are simply lines you do not cross, even if crossing them is efficient, popular, or profitable. Examples of lines being crossed would be eugenics or gulags, the final solution, or in today's age, assassin culture. Subjective morality says something very different, that morality is flexible, relative, negotiable. That right or wrong are determined by outcomes, narratives, or ideology. In this framework, morality does not restrain politics. Instead, politics redefines morality. Think affirmative action, or further down the slope, think Roe v. Wade, which is in fact a perfect example of this slippery slope of subjective morality. Because that slippery slope brings you to the Reproductive Health Equity Act out of Colorado, which allows abortion up to 9 months for any reason. At first, the shift feels harmless, even compassionate. People will say things like it's complicated, or there are trade-offs, or this is necessary for the greater good. And sometimes in isolation, those statements feel reasonable. But here's the danger. When a society's moral compass points further away from true north, when their objective morality drifts further and further towards subjective morality, they have to then rely on subjective justification. And subjective morality does not stop at disagreement or protest or exclusion. It stops at the justification of taking an innocent life. Think elective abortion or Charlie Kirk. Or think Kate Steinle, or Molly Tibbetts, or Sarah Root, or Officer Ranil Singh, or Drew Rosenberg, or Jocelyn Nungaray, she was 12. Or most familiar amongst the right anyways, Laken Riley. And of course we can't forget about Dakara Thompson and the other names here, too many to remember, sadly. And so once morality is negotiable, so is human value. All of these innocent Americans brutally lost their lives to corrosive politics shaped by subjective morality. If right and wrong are defined by outcomes, then people become variables. Have you ever heard the talking point that illegals commit less crime than American citizens, thus justifying their deaths while venerating their deaths, all in defense of criminals? If morality bends to ideology, then individuals can be sacrificed for the cause. And eventually you reach a point where harm is no longer a tragedy, but a strategy. Why do you think everybody knows Preddy and Good's last name, yet they struggle to say the name Laken Riley, yet alone anyone else? And this is how you end up in a place where violence and obstruction of law is being rebranded as protests for peace and justice, where silencing, deplatforming, imprisoning, or even eliminating political opponents is seen as progress or justified, which is exactly what they tried to do to Trump before he was elected. History is brutally consistent with this point. Every political movement that justified the killing in the name of their belief system started with the same claim. Not that life was worthless, but some lives are less valuable. That the ends mattered more than the means. That morality could be recalibrated to fit the moment. They literally look at another human being and pass lethal judgment on them and think it's righteous and good without ever seeing the hypocrisy in those words. Just think Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk's assassin. Or just think about all the tens of thousands of people that were happy when they heard that Charlie Kirk was killed. Or think about all those tens of thousands of people that were sad that the bullet missed Trump. They don't even recognize the moral depravity they rest so comfortably in, and they'll still turn around and think of themselves as good people. Objective morality stands in the way of that hypocrisy because it says that no victory stands in the way of first principles like all men and women are created equal. Subjective morality has no brakes, which is why it's such a slippery slope. The question then is not which policies you support. The question is this: do you believe that morality restrains power, or does power define morality? Because the moment you choose the latter, you're already standing on a slippery slope where history has gone very dark, very fast. And it never starts with violence. It starts with justification. Objective morality anchors equality, and equality gives meaning to the rule of law. And the rule of law is what makes a republic possible. And while we all stray from that moral star from time to time and bend that chain, a truly objective moral person would never break it. If one chooses to break that chain at any point, then what follows is not justice, it's power. So if you claim to be on the right side of history while excusing obstruction, lawlessness, or dismissing the patterns that history has laid out for us, then you're willing to accept the cost. You are rejecting equality, you are discarding the rule of law, and you are no longer defending the American Republic. You are standing in opposition to it.